Another way, okay, when it comes to learning a second language, you have options. That's what you used to do.
Yeah.
Dang, as cheap as you can get.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. So
My
anyway,
output sucks.
yeah. No. Hi, this is David from Tanukanji.
And I'm Levi, one of the co-founders.
And today we are going to talk very quickly about theory behind language learning,
Yes, sir.
and learning a second language, and what is the best course?
Yeah,
Right?
okay, sounds
Best
good.
Course of action. So, what are some common questions that people have when it comes to learning a second language?
What do I do first? Like, what do I get started with?
Exactly. What do I do first? I remember when I first started learning Japanese, I just Googled learn Japanese, and this site popped up, which it gave some cool, cute little videos. You know, the da 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 na 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 da 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 song. So that was about samurai. Hitori, futari, sannin no samurai, yonin, and it was about counting people. So the people counter, right? So there was cute little videos like that. It wasn't a textbook. It wasn't a curriculum. Did you do the same kind of thing? Like, did you just Google learn Japanese and then find something?
Well, actually, I got lucky. I started after you, so it was probably more popular at the time that I started because there is more resources. I found the Tofugu blog, which was fantastic. They had actually a huge blog post that said your roadmap to like understanding Japanese. So they said
a roadmap. Okay.
They said, well, kind of. I mean, they said start with hiragana, katakana, and that's what I did. I learned. I went actually on that website, and they had a very well written article on like how to learn hiragana, katakana with mnemonics. So I would say that's the first, right?
You would say hiragana and katakana is the very first step.
Yeah.
That's one way.
What's another?
Another way, okay, so there's basically two ways that you can learn languages, right? When you learn your first language, your native language, you learn that what we call implicitly, or some linguists like to distinguish between learning and acquiring. So you can, essentially with your first language, you acquire it, you internalize it through just being exposed to it, right? As a baby, you're not looking at a textbook, reading grammar rules, right? Your mind is constantly being showered with all this linguistic input, and your brain is trying to sort it out, right? And to get it, in a place where you can start using it to communicate. That is acquiring. Some linguists dispute that, whether or not it's even separate.
Well, let me ask you this. Like, as adults, we have more tools available than a newborn infant. We're able to recognize these patterns and distinguish between sounds. Yeah. And these sounds are actually like obviously the basis of a language. So if we're able to, like, why don't we just learn these so that we can get more input? Like, if we learn the language of the input, and by that I mean the symbols that make the sounds of the input, we're able to get more input and learn faster, right?
Yeah, that's what we would call traditional learning, which is separate from acquiring.
Okay.
Right? So you can try as an adult, you can try the whole baby language learning method, the acquiring method. And some people in the Japanese learning community have done this with a method called AJAT. I don't know if you've heard of that. All Japanese all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Pioneered a few years ago. And I like it. I like it in that it's forcing you to be showered with that input from your target language, right? And that's good.
Hard.
It's hard. It's very difficult.
If
right?
you live in America, especially.
Yeah. So, if you're living in Japan, it might be easier. Yeah. But if you're living outside of Japan, very difficult. People are busy. You've got jobs, school, you have to... If you're only using Japanese all the time, that can get kind of boring because you don't know what you're reading, or you don't know what you're listening to, or movies get kind of boring. So it's a very difficult method, but I've seen success with it. I've seen people get to an almost native-like proficiency with that kind of acquiring method. And then there's traditional learning. So this is when you actively use your first language to study a second language or a third language. And that's when you find the grammar points and, you do your flashcards for vocabulary and stuff like that. As an adult, because you've already acquired a first language, you can do that method. Babies can't. They haven't fully acquired, the first language yet. So as an adult, you have two options. You can start with just listening, right? And trying to get your brain to parse different words and different grammar points and stuff like that. It's very difficult. Or you can do the traditional, like I said, textbook and all that stuff. So it depends. You have options. When it comes to learning a second language, you have options. You can choose to do the AJAT method. You can choose to do a textbook. Now, if you do the traditional learning method route like you did, yes, starting with hiragana and katakana is recommended, right? So you can actually read what you're learning. From there, where do you go in terms of reading and writing?
Oh, reading and writing. Kanji?
Kanji, right. You go to kanji. And I would argue if you are doing the learning method, the one that babies can't do, the learning method, do as much kanji as you can.
As soon as possible. Yeah, I agree.
I've seen, the general use kanji. How many are there about?
Like 2,100 or something?
2,200-ish, yeah. 2,100, 2,200. So if you get all of those down, you are reading at 90 to 98% of the stuff you see, right, around Japan, maybe in books. Books might be a little harder, but around Japan, menus, things like that. So as much kanji as you can, as quickly as you can. Some people I've seen, they go full force. Like they go all in to dominate kanji, and they will do like 30 new characters every single day.
That's what I used to do.
That's what you used to do?
Yeah.
Dang, okay. Did you use Anki?
No, I used Wanikani.
Only one? Okay.
But they kind of imposed limits on that, so.
Yes.
For good reason.
This is true. Your brain has only so much processing power. Yeah. And you're gonna forget, if you overload it like that, you're gonna forget a lot. So that's why I wouldn't recommend 30 at the beginning. Yeah. You can maybe start with 10 at the beginning and then like gradually start adding, to your queue.
That's why we kind of have imposed limits on Tono Kanji as well.
Yes.
For that very reason. I mean, you can increase it if you want.
You can. And, we know some people's working memory, I don't know if this is necessarily working memory, but it's probably working memory, have more capacity than other people. And, it does change with training. You can train your working memory. So that's why we implemented a customizable, what do we call it? Batch size for the number of items per review session.
Review. Oh, that's the review.
Right.
Lesson batch.
The lesson batch size, right? You can adjust that. It's totally customizable. One of the great features of Tanu Kanji compared to other competitors.
All right, salesman.
Sales pitch right there. Yeah. So get as much hiragana, katakana, and kanji as you can as quickly as possible. Then what do you think you would do?
I would say as you're learning kanji, probably getting started on your grammar would probably help. I think knowing a little kanji before learning grammar is probably helpful. I would say maybe because reading you kind of need a little bit of kanji for that.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's kind of a double-edged sword because you can learn a lot of kanji first and then go into grammar. But how does one normally go into grammar? With
probably a textbook.
A textbook. And you know what textbooks do in regards to kanji?
Teach their own.
They teach their own, but they stagger. So like everything you're getting at the beginning lessons is all hiragana, all katakana.
Really?
For
beginning textbooks.
For beginning textbooks,
okay.
Yes. Most textbooks will delay the kanji writings until later, right? When they present the kanji, and then they'll gradually start changing words so it does use kanji. That's the problem with textbooks.
And sorry, I would say one of the big things about textbook, you can learn kanji with a textbook, but is that the most efficient? Probably not. I would say a spaced repetition system, something like Tano Kanji or Wanikani, that's going to be the most efficient way of learning kanji. So if you can, probably do it like that.
Or even Anki.
Yeah, Anki is great. Right. Yeah, it's cheap. It's free.
It's free. Yeah, as cheap as you can get it. There's other, SRS systems like Anki, actually.
Yeah.
Brainscape comes to mind. Anyways, get grammar down. You can use a textbook. That's fine. I know people who they don't read the textbook. They just get the example sentences and make Anki flashcards for them.
Yeah.
Just fine. It's up to you. Make it fun.
ChatGPT.
ChatGPT.
That's
right?
a great one.
Always there. So you can, and then after grammar, of course, we want a lot of vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Vocabulary. There's a linguist named Dr. Nation. Oh, he's all about vocabulary, and he talks about how many times you have to expose yourself to a single word in order to internalize it, to memorize it, stuff like that.
Depends on the word.
I'm sure it does depend on the word. There's a lot of factors, but he said it could be 7 to 10 times of seeing something over and over again until you start to not forget it.
Yeah.
Then you get into the forgetting curve, right?
Yeah.
And Ebbinghaus, who described that. But the point is, you want to be exposing yourself to your target language as much as you possibly can. That's where I think AJAT, all Japanese all the time, is correct, right?
And I would say also, you mentioned vocabulary. If you use a system like Wanikani, or there's some Anki decks that have all the vocabulary, or Tanokanji specifically. I mean, try not to make this a salesy ads kind of podcast, but
right.
we that's why we made it, right? Mm-hmm. You don't have to worry about any of that.
We do it for you.
Yeah, it's all set up for you. You don't have to worry about what should I learn. This, you get this done. It's really easy, as easy as you can get, and just do your reviews every day.
And of course, start with the most frequent terms, right? You don't want to be learning something I learned where I'm at right now. I still use Anki. I'm still, learning new words myself. Yeah. And one of the words I learned recently was, I think it's zange. And this is the word for confession in a confessional at a Catholic church. I think that's what it was. Something like that. It was really obscure, right? And anyways, you want to be learning as much vocabulary as you can. Constantly expose yourself. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. When it comes to audio input, they'll watch anime. That's great. It's fine. But they'll watch it with English subtitles. The problem with that is your brain focuses all its processing power on the English subtitles instead of trying to listen to the Japanese and parse that. So it's going to be hard. I'm telling you right now. We can probably do a whole nother episode about using anime to learn Japanese. I think a lot of people try to do that. What you want to do for that is take off the English subtitles.
You can add Japanese subtitles?
Yes. Having Japanese subtitles is infinitely better than English subtitles. Okay. And then to top all that would be no subtitles. Just strain your ears to try to parse everything that's coming in through the Japanese. We're talking a lot about input. Yeah. I would say input should be your focus at the beginning of your language learning journey. Would you agree?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
Yes. Once you get a lot of stuff internalized, then you can try really focusing on output. So get a language partner, right? Find a Japanese friend. I went on a site, I don't know if it's still there, called The Mixer with 2 X's. It seemed a little sketch, but I found a lifelong Japanese friend on there. She was legit. She was an older woman who's looking to learn English, and I was learning to learn Japanese. So we were paired, and we talked through Skype. Great friend. I eventually went to her house in Tokyo. She hosted me and my family. It was beautiful. It's heart of Tokyo. It's wonderful. Anyways, I don't know if that site is still there, but try to find someone.
Yeah, there's ones all italki, I think.
Italki's with tutors, but there's
something like that.
There's Hello Talk, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Start with input, then go to output. I would say that's a pretty basic roadmap.
Yeah.
For Japanese.
We can go over a more detailed roadmap in the future.
Yes.
Because I feel like I definitely would have benefited from that. So
it's a lot, right? We can break down, the writing, the reading, all 4 aspects of language, right? Speech, listening. So, anyways, stay tuned.
Yeah. Because
we have a lot about this topic. I love talking about teaching and learning second languages. But any last comments before we finish here?
No.
Would you say your journey kind of matched that roadmap, or
probably, yeah,
more or less?
Exactly. Like I said, I only started input a couple.
Input?
Output.
Output. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe 6 months ago. So.
Yeah, it is a skill, right?
Wholly input. Yeah.
Almost. There's research to show that your input skill doesn't necessarily, how do you say, predict your output skill.
Yeah.
They are not completely, but mostly separate.
Yeah. I could agree with that.
Yeah. So
My
anyway,
output sucks.
yeah. No. I didn't mean to say your output. Your output is fine. Where you're at for your level, your journey, that's fine. Just output more.
Yeah.
Okay? It'll get
Yes,
better.
sir.
All right. This has been David.
And Levi?
And we are the co-founders of Tanu Kanji. We hope you guys enjoyed, and we hope that you will use Tanu Kanji.
But if not, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Seriously.
We won't get offended too much.
Yeah. Use whatever works for you guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. See ya. Bye-bye.